Hey guys, it's Jason here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the video. Today we get to unbox my new Traxxas X-Maxx Ultimate. This was by no means, guys, an easy purchase. It's ridiculously expensive here in Canada. It was $2,100 plus tax. This is no sponsored, no creator, here you go kind of video like some of the other ones that you've seen out there already on this truck. I bought this thing, and do I think it's the Ultimate X-Maxx? No. But do I think it's the ultimate start to the Ultimate X-Maxx? That is for sure, because as soon, guys, as I saw this truck come out and I started seeing some of the pictures and I saw the price, you know what, I'll be upfront with you guys, I kind of giggled. I thought, my, how can Traxxas ask what they're asking for this truck? But when you start really looking at it and you start looking at all the parts that are included and all that kind of stuff, and then you think about building an X-Maxx and you think about some of the items you're going to buy and some of the things you're going to change that $700 difference here in Canada. I'm not sure what it is in the States, probably somewhere around like $450 or $500 maybe. But that gap starts to kind of, it gets a little bit smaller and it gets a little bit smaller. So overall, guys, most of the parts of this truck we're going to be keeping, we're going to be using, we're going to be getting rid of the same old garbage like the VXL8S and all that kind of fun stuff. The radio, it'll be gone. But either way, guys, I'm excited to get this thing out of the box, so let's do it. All right, guys, there it is, the Traxxas X-Maxx Ultimate. Now, I got it out of the box, guys. I went ahead, I put the tires on. I got the truck looking the way it's going to look when you run it, just because I really wanted to see how these tires were going to look on it. I've always liked the sledgehammers. I've had them on my sledge. I had them on my Haas. I actually think they're a great tire. These ones being belted should add that much more performance and hopefully, guys, keep them together more. I've had a history with not liking Traxxas tires because they always come apart. The glue always comes unglued and it just makes for not a fun experience. I'm hoping that that is not the case with these new tires. The fact that they're belted, they should help keep everything together. But either way, guys, this thing looks epic. All the blue anodizing, even just the way the body, the simplicity of the body, I do feel like this is kind of more of a throwback to kind of the first X-Maxxes and stuff like that. They've added in what looks like to be like, you know, pearl and stuff like that to the blue. The blue's a little bit sharper and all that kind of fun stuff. But overall, it still looks more to me like an OG X-Maxx than some of the new style bodies. Now, speaking of bodies, guys, there's kind of a lot I'm going to be going over in this video because I bought this X-Maxx Ultimate as the ultimate start to my ultimate build. Hopefully that makes sense. What I mean by that is I have plans, guys, on replacing the body. I have plans on changing up some color schemes on it, but the blue anodizing, so all the blue anodizing bits, which we'll go over, that is really what I was kind of buying. I did, guys, look at buying a normal X-Maxx and upgrading it. And let's face it, here in Canada, it's about a $700 difference, and $700 goes a long ways in buying parts. However, every time I would look at a stock X-Maxx and I was looking at the parts that I wanted and what I wanted the truck to look like and all that kind of fun stuff, the Ultimate did add value. A lot of it doesn't take long to make $700 on an X-Maxx. And it definitely, when it comes to the Traxxas part. So even something, guys, like the tires here in Canada, I think they're $250. The 2085X Servo, I think, is around $150. So it didn't take long for parts to add up. And that's how I bought this truck. I genuinely was like, okay, here's a stock X-Maxx, here's the Ultimate, and I started running through the parts, and again, guys, it took like only a few, adding parts to a cart that I was like, yep, you know what? I'm going with the Ultimate, and I'm going to work from there. And obviously, guys, that is why I have it here now. What I'm going to do, we're going to get the body off. We're going to get this truck back on the stand, and we're going to start going over the details. Now, one quick note, guys, the Traxxas stand. So I did buy this stand specific for this truck. It's the X-Maxx/XRT one right from Traxxas. And I'm happy to say, guys, it works really well. I've had this truck now out of the box, the initial kind of unboxing part you saw a few minutes ago. I've had it out for almost a week, and I've had the truck sitting on the stand and all that kind of stuff. And I can honestly say, guys, I like it a lot. There's two positions. There's the open position right now where you can see I can spin the truck around, all that kind of fun stuff. But then if you also just reach down, and it's very easy, it's not like you have to tighten a screw or anything. You just reach down. There's a little arm. I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, there it is. Grab that, and it's locked. What's really nice about this stand, and it was kind of my first sort of test for it, is when I was putting the tires on, I did one side, and I was curious, is this going to be like other stands where my truck's going to kind of fall off and I have to kind of stagger my tires, do one side, do the other one? That was not the case. You can pull off two tires, do some work. The truck will still sit on the stand itself, put the other two tires back on, and you're good to go. I was very happy about that. Again, guys, this was almost like 90 bucks or 80 bucks Canadian for this stand, but I am happy to say that it worked the way I was hoping it was going to. Now, once you get the body off, that is when everything kind of comes to life. You start to see all the anodizing bits and all that kind of stuff. And like I mentioned, guys, when I was building the truck, I was interested, guys, in these tires. And these tires are one of those things where if I was buying upgraded tires from X-Maxx, I would not have bought Traxxas tires in the past. I would have bought the Duratrax. I would have bought the Pro lines. I would have bought the Louise RC tires, the Method RC belted tires. I would not have spent money on Traxxas tires. Even though, like I mentioned, guys, on my Sledge and my Haas, I've always liked them. So this was kind of a way for me to be like, yeah, you know what? You're going to get a set of Traxxas tires. Plus, these are the belted ones. They look great. The tread pattern works really, really well. So I was happy about that. So those were kind of the first part. I was kind of like, okay, you know what? There's this $700 difference here. Those tires are almost 250 bucks. Boom. Now we've knocked it down a bit. We've removed that 700 or the 7-ish just with tax type thing. Now we've knocked it down to around that 450-ish range sort of thing. Next was simple things like my aluminum shock caps and your threaded collars. I changed these guys on every RC, so I threw those into the cart and I was like, yep, I'm going to have them. The whole bell crank assembly, guys, this thing is awesome looking. I know it's kind of sort of a little bit hard to see just because of where it's positioned, but it is beautiful anodizing. I love the way that Traxxas, and I mean other companies do this too, but where you have an anodized part, but then you kind of machine it again, so you kind of can bring out the raw aluminum. I like that tone. I prefer this kind of a look where it's you've got that little bevel on it, than just something that's solid blue or solid green, whatever. So again, guys, that was another part that I was like, you know what? I'm going to be updating the bell cranks. It again reduced from that 700, it brought it down closer and closer. You've got an aluminum servo horn. Again, that's a plus. I run those. The adjustable turnbuckle right here, that comes with, I think, kind of some of the upgrade parts. It might even come when you buy a 2085X. I don't remember right now. When this breaks, and it's going to, I will just use that plastic one. I always have a bunch of those. I still have some sitting on the shelf from when I had my last X-Maxx, because they do break. They're an easy part to break. And if you're going to have something break in between your servo horn, and your bell cranks, you want this little thing to break because it doesn't cost a lot and it's an easy part to replace. The turnbuckles, these are kind of a bonus-ish, meaning, yes, I replaced on my old X-Maxx, guys, I had the red ones. The thing is, big kind of giveaway here, guys, I'm going to have no choice but to replace these. Let's just put it that way. So these will kind of sit on the bench maybe for if I decide to build another X-Maxx later on or something like that. But unfortunately, these won't be something that I'll be keeping on the truck because I'll have no choice but to replace them. Now, one of the craziest parts on this truck that definitely gives it a sweet look are these diff case covers. Because it's not a complete diff case. It kind of goes back into the bulkhead, guys. But obviously the front here is all supported. It's all aluminum. So holding your bearings and all that kind of stuff. This is a extremely sweet part. And again, I kind of consider it one of the bonus parts because it's always been something I've wanted to put on an X-Maxx. I've always kind of wanted with my original one, and I wanted to have the hot racing ones. So when I was kind of putting together the trucks, I knew I was going to be doing colors, and I've already talked about some of the parts I knew I would be doing. These are like 80, 90 bucks here in Canada, I think. So they might have been a part that wouldn't have happened right away. But again, they are a part that I almost considered free, because when I added up the X-Maxx and I started putting in the parts in that I wanted, these weren't part of it, but they were on the truck. So again, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I'm not kind of confusing people here. You got your little pin covers here. I've also, guys, always bought these things, these little blue ones right here. I've always used them. So again, those are something I would have bought. The titanium nitrate shock shafts, never used them before. I've had them on some of my GTR shocks and stuff like that. I can't really speak to if they're needed or not. My last X-Maxx had the Pro line shock shaft, that kind of whole sort of cartridge kind of part, and I never ever had any issues with those. Unlike, and that actually, guys, can bring me to something, unlike those piggyback reservoir shocks from Proline that I had, yeah, just don't buy those. I wanted those parts so bad. I wanted them to work so bad and perform well, but they didn't. You immediately lose your rebound. I had people message me when I did my video like, hey, have you been able to figure out the rebound problem? And I'm like, nope, I can't get it to rebound at all. So this, guys, again, would have been the route I would have taken. If I was building a new stock X-Maxx, I'd have the Traxxas aluminum caps and I would have the Traxxas threaded collars on it. I would not have anything else. Now, coming around to the back of the truck, this is kind of a 50-50 to me, I guess. These wheels, guys, these aluminum anodized wheelie bar wheels, they look pretty good. They're pretty pimp. I don't know if I'm really doing a good job, guys, right now of getting it on camera, just the way my lighting is and stuff like that. But they do look really impressive. They've got the bearings in them, all that kind of fun stuff. I like a wheelie bar in an X-Maxx. I know some people don't. I prefer it. I like the fact that what I'm doing, you know, I'm gunning it on throttle. I can come back and I can land on something. I've got a set of wheels there. I can kind of control my wheelie a little bit more, as well as they do work as a fantastic handle. Now, this was something, guys, I was talking about earlier, are these little kind of blue washers in here. So they do not come with a normal X-Maxx. You can get them in a bunch of different colors, blue, green, red, all that kind of fun stuff. I really like these. I've always ran them because I will be, I think it all depends, guys, on what ends up happening with the whole ESC motor combo and all that kind of fun stuff. Is even if I was running this thing stock, and by stock I mean pulling that VXL 8S and dropping in a Max 6 and keeping the stock motor, these are a must, because what I do is I will pull those pins out of the motor mount. I find those are the reason that you destroy pinions and spurs, and get a proper mesh. And with having these aluminum washers here and having the aluminum motor mount, guys, is the other side to that. I've always upgraded my motor mounts to an aluminum one, because that way you can kind of Loctite the screws in and get a nice, secure, snug fit. These washers help in that. And it kind of, I found as soon as I did that, I started not breaking pinions and spurs. Now, I understand the stock pinion, the stock Traxxas spur are garbage. This does have the upgraded machined parts, so it has the upgraded machined pinion and spur. So personally, and I don't know, guys, if I'll even test it, I think if you were to pull that motor mount, take the pins out, set up your gear mesh properly, that pinion and spur would probably hold up. It would probably keep you going. Now, I deliberately, guys, held off removing the tires because I did want to show this part. So like I was mentioning earlier, when I was using the stand, I had installed 2 tires and I wanted to see how things would hold up on the truck. And you can see right now, guys, I still have one side of the truck has its tires on, but over here, we can spin this thing around and it's not going anywhere. So again, to me, guys, that's a huge plus. And I know it's kind of a minor thing. This video is about the truck, not the stand, but there is nothing worse than getting a stand, getting your truck on the stand, start wrenching on it, you start pulling off tires and it ends up falling off and you've got to kind of stagger things. I can't stand that. So again, not cheap. It is just a stand for 90 bucks. Yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous price, but if you're buying an X-Maxx or you're getting an XRT and you want a proper stand, the Traxxas stand does do the job. Now, before we move on to those amazing steering and caster blocks, those rear hub carriers, I want to talk about something that I noticed while I was making this video. So first off, guys, when I do videos, it usually takes me a couple of days. I record, let's say 3 or 4 clips, and then I edit it and put it together and all that kind of fun stuff. And while I was doing it this time with this truck, I did notice something that has now come up a few times, and that is I mentioned or refer to this truck as being built. Now, some people would have heard me say that, and their first thought would have been like, what do you mean? You bought, not built this truck. Really stupid phrase. God, guys, please don't use it. But to be fair, yes, I bought this truck. It's not built. However, in my head, I built it. And I've mentioned this already, and I've actually, guys, probably mentioned it a few times. But when I was buying this truck and I was waiting for it to come in stock at Eliminator RC, you can't help but see that, hey, there's an X-Maxx in stock. You look at the parts that are available, all that kind of fun stuff. You look at ESC and motors because you know you're going to be upgrading that. And when I was, guys, doing all this time, when I was waiting to buy the truck, like to actually do the purchase when it was in stock, that's what I was doing. And as I was taking parts that I was going to be putting on this truck. So if I'd bought, let's say, a stock X-Maxx, I knew the parts that I wanted to upgrade. I'm a huge fan of having color matching anodizing. One of my sort of like pet peeves in life when things don't match. So you buy something, let's say that's got blue anodizing, and then you go buy another company's anodizing and the blue doesn't quite match. I hate that. So often I will do a different color. I will, if let's say I've got blue on a truck, I may add silver to it. To be fair, silver usually works with everything. If you've got green and you want to add silver, it works. So the one thing that's nice about this truck, guys, is that the blue, 95% of it all matches. I do notice a bit of a difference when it comes to some of the newer parts that Traxxas has just released. There's a tiny difference, just a little bit. The original stuff is just a little bit darker, but it's not bad, guys, by any means, and I can totally live with it. So again, I just wanted to mention that, guys, because it's come up a few times, and it's probably still going to come up in the video where I refer to this truck being built and not bought. Now down here, guys, you've got your caster blocks and your steering blocks, full aluminum, 6061. You've got also, guys, the upgraded hex as well. This is another part. It's not very expensive, but I've always ran these. I've never run the stock black plastic ones or anything like that. I've always gone to the aluminum ones. So again, the fact, guys, that these are included, these are parts that I would have bought. This 5th or 6th X-Maxx, guys, if I was starting from scratch, if I had started with an RTR, I probably would have gone with these Traxxas parts over some of the other companies like Hot Racing and stuff like that. I like the anodizing, like I just mentioned. I like when colors match, so I would have gone this way. So between the caster blocks, guys, the steering blocks, the aluminum hexes here, your caps as well, all that's included with the Ultimate. It looks insane. Coming back over here, guys, we obviously have the rear hub carrier. Same thing, got the aluminum hex. Just looks killer, guys. Again, like I've mentioned, that bevel, I love the way they do that, showing the blue and the silver. I think that's super sharp. Now, like I've mentioned, guys, already, one of the major disappointments with this truck is that they still include the VXL 8S, which we all know we pull from the get-go. Most people won't even run it, and if they do run it, it doesn't take long to realize that it's garbage. I tried very hard when I bought my Traxxas XRT to run the stock ESC and to hopefully just maybe think, hey, maybe it's me. Maybe I'll start running it. I'll get a feel for it and I'll be good. That was never the case. I just continuously tried, and I eventually, guys, had to swap it out to a Max 6. I even had a buddy message me. He's like, wow, you're really trying to give that VXL 8S a chance. And I was like, yeah, I am. These are not cheap cars. And when you start pulling the electronics and you have to, sell them, you don't get a lot for them. And then you go out and you got to spend a couple $100 on something like a Max 6. That adds to the overall price of the truck. So with the XRT being as expensive as it is, having to spend money to replace parts that come with the truck sort of sucks, or it extremely sucks. And luckily enough, for some reason in the Traxxas world, some people like these ESCs, so you're able to sell them. Yeah, you don't sell them for much, but you can at least get rid of them. That's what I'll be doing. Now, we got the truck over to its home. I referred to, guys, if you watched the kind of little sort of hobby room tour video I did a little while ago, I had kind of shown that I had cleared out this space and I was getting it ready for something, and I kind of gave huge hints to what it was. But this is where it's been. And the fun thing is, guys, and you're happy or really happy with an RC purchase when you come downstairs and you just kind of gawk at something. I have had the truck sitting on the stand with the wheels and tires on, the wheels and tires off, body on, body off for the last, I think, 4 or 5 days, maybe even 6 or 7, I can't remember, and just coming downstairs sometimes in the morning. My wife's like, hey, can you go downstairs and grab some milk? So I come downstairs, and it's like 5 minutes later, and she's like, are you coming back up? I can hear her from upstairs. And that's because I've been just gawking at the truck, looking over all the parts, all the upgrades, and completely, guys, just nerding out. I think this is now my 5th X-Maxx, and this, guys, by far is just the nicest looking one. All the anodizing parts just really give this truck the looks, the character, everything. Minor things, guys, like the aluminum, where am I pointing? Right here. The aluminum wheelie bar wheels, just, it's a small part, guys, but it just adds a nice amount of character to the truck, especially when the body's on. These diff cases, guys, right here are just crazy. Rear hub carriers, the steering knuckles, caster blocks, guys, bell cranks, everything is just wicked. And it's definitely, guys, like if you're on YouTube, you're on my YouTube, you've seen my post, the picture post I had done a little while ago. I said I was very happy, and I meant it. This thing is absolutely wicked. All right, guys, there you have it. The bought, not built Traxxas X-Maxx Ultimate. Now, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff, guys, going on with this truck. Some of it is for appearance only. Some of it is for performance, durability, all that kind of fun stuff. And I should mention this, guys, if I haven't already, it's not going to be a quick build. We are sitting around the beginning of February right now. I have a few months left for winter to end, and I'm not planning on driving this truck in the winter at all. So that's the good thing. I'm going to be able to work on this truck while it's still clean, while it's still brand new. The next video I do will probably be checking out those Louise RC tires, the X mallets. I've been excited to see those. I've left them in the package, guys, just so that we can do the video together and get them installed and see how they're going to look. They're a bit of a different tread pattern, which is going to be nice. But overall, guys, I've mentioned this many times. I am super pumped for this build. There's going to be some stuff that is going to be a little different, and I'm going to be going in kind of a direction that some of you have probably not thought that I would go with this truck. But what you have to understand is that I bought an upgraded X-Maxx, in my opinion. I didn't necessarily buy the X-Maxx Ultimate. So even, guys, when it comes down to this body, I will run the body a few times, but there's actually something else I wanted more. There was a body I wanted more. Color combinations, guys. The blue anodizing, hey, that is all staying on the aluminum parts. I love that. I love that look. But when it comes to some of the plastic, things are going to be changing. Now, I'm going to give you guys a big hint here. Even though I don't know if it looked the way I wanted it to look in my head when I was ordering it. Again, the body, guys, is not going to always be on this truck. I'm going to be running something else, but I did want to do a lot of kind of blue and green. I've been working with Garage Life RC. He's got some parts coming. He did some kind of one-off parts that he didn't have in green. He was like, yeah, I can do that for you. So those will be coming in the next few weeks. But again, guys, it's going to be awesome. This is going to be such a fun build. I'm so happy to have an X-Maxx back, and to have the Ultimate just makes it that much more crazier. As always, guys, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Please subscribe, and have a great day.